by law enforcement agency personnel. May I have a motion?
Second.
The item has been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Senator Kane.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, are we on number 1?
No, we're on number 4.
Oh. Then all the more reason for me to have questions. Is this a mandate on our towns? Can you someone explain this, how it's going to affect our towns and cities?
Representative Holder-Winfield, would you like to answer that question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What the bill does is it has the police officer standards and training post develop a written policy for dealing with complaints that come from the public, both the acceptance and the process through which those, and actually the investigation of those complaints as they relate to an allegation of misconduct by members of law enforcement agencies. Through you, Madam Chair.
Senator Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank a good representative for that description, but I was curious as to what type of mandate this places on our towns and municipalities through you.
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Once the policy has been created, the law enforcement agencies have to make their complaint policy available so that the public would know. The complaint policies, copies of them would be available at the town hall or other municipal buildings potentially. And if the law enforcement agency has a website, it would be available there as well. Through you, Madam Chair.
Senator Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's basically just the posting of the policy through you? Am I understanding him correctly?
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Number 4.
Through you, Madam Chair, I believe that is correct.
Senator Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the representative's answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Representative Betts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not familiar with what the current practice is. Is this bill going to change significantly what the current practice is, or if it's, or is it going to modify what the current practice is? Through you, Madam Chair.
Senator Holder-Winfield? Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair. I think the answer to that would depend on who you speak to. What it would do in terms of changing our current policy, we've discovered that some of our law enforcement agencies, at least from the perspective of those outside of the law enforcement agencies, impose what some would call barriers to the acceptance of complaints. This would eliminate those barriers. So some would say it's a modification, some would say it's a substantial change. Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Betts.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that answer. I don't want to prolong this. I'm just trying to understand. Is this a widespread problem, or is this concentrated in a particular area? Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair. Again, I'm not trying to be obtuse here, but I think that's a matter of perspective. I think there are many people who would say it's a widespread problem. But again, I would suspect that some of our agencies would suggest it's not. My experience, even prior to being a state representative, is that it is a real problem. I'm not sure how widespread it is. There have been surveys done. ACLU has a green sheet you can look at that talks about the survey they've done. Other people have done surveys in prior years. I would say it's a real problem, and that if people don't feel like they can go to these agencies and launch a complaint, if it's a legitimate complaint, then it's an issue we should deal with. Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Betts.
I thank you very much for the answer, and I'll continue to listen to the debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on the bill? Yes. Representative Lavallée, followed by Representative Cochlear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. Nice to see you. Couple of questions, if I may. One is the level of complaints, the number of complaints high? Is this very, very frequent? Through you.
I'm going to ask Representative Holder-Winfield to answer that, but I also want to, let's stick to the finance of it. And I understand that this is the mandate issue, so I just want to make sure we try and stick to that. Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair, that's actually a difficult question to answer for multiple reasons. One, I don't have the data sitting in front of me, and two, I guess I'm not sure what the exact definition of high would be in this case. I will say again that whatever number of complaints we have, it is actually probably mitigated by the fact that there are barriers to launching a complaint. And I think while we're here to look at the fiscal aspect of this bill, that's important for us to remember as we look at this bill. Through you, Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative Lavielle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I only have one more question, and it's not strictly fiscal, but I just want to make sure I understand what we're doing. If I understood some of Representative Holder-Winfield's responses to Representative Betts, actually, this is not just a posting requirement or a policy requirement, but it is also meant to change behavior or the way things are done in certain cases. Am I correct?
I'll go through that, and I'll ask Representative Holder-Winfield to answer, but I really would appreciate if we stick to the mandate. Yes. No, you can ask as many as you want, as long as you stick to
I understand. I appreciate it.
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair, I would say in response to Representative Lavielle that I'm not exactly sure of the exact intentionality of the bill, but I would say that what it does is potentially change behavior, but I think what we are attempting to do is to make sure that there is a standard of behavior more than change behavior, if that nuance is clear. Through you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I think also the idea is to also maintain the transparency that we support, the idea that everybody be held to a higher standing in all areas. So thank you. So Representative Lavielle?
Yes, I would just thank you for that, and I would just comment that given that we're able to do something like this here with minimal cost is not insignificant, and I would be nice to see that sort of thing with some of the other things that we do. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Representative Cook-LaRuda.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just as far as a mandate for municipalities, if a town has a policy already and has it posted, are they impacted at all by this change?
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Holder-Winfield, for the question. The question that's being asked has been contemplated, and actually there is an amendment that will come up on the floor that will speak to this issue. If the town meets what this bill does as the floor in terms of minimal standards, then there would be no impact. If it doesn't meet the floor, then yes, there would be impact. So the answer to that question depends on what the town's policy actually is. Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Cook-LaRuda.
Thank you for that answer.
Representative Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As I'm looking at this with regard to the mandate, municipalities that participate in the resident trooper program sometimes have a constabulary of their own, in addition to, I think, what most would consider those that come under the auspices of DESPP. And so in terms of the municipal responsibility, can they just adopt the state's protocol? Through you.
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair, once established, the state's protocol would be the floor, so the answer to that question is yes. Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Minor.
And in the case, if they chose to have their own set of standards and they differed, does that matter? Through you.
Representative Holder-Winfield.
you, Madam Chair, it does matter. It matters if they don't meet the floor, then they would have to make sure that they're at least in compliance with whatever the Public Act requires. But they are allowed to have their own individual policy for them and for the municipality. Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Minor.
Thank you, and I thank the gentleman for his explanation.
Thank you. Yes, Representative Sheminsky. I'm sorry. Belinsky. Sorry. Yeah. Representative Belinsky. I apologize. I will not make that mistake again, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question through you to the proponent.
Go right ahead, sir.
The Act in front of us references Police Officer Standards and Training Council as being the body that's going to develop the policy, implement the policy. I also don't have a great deal of familiarity with it. Is this already an existing council?
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair, the answer is yes, and we will oftentimes, when looking to establish policies that affect multiple municipalities or statewide, look to post for an answer. They are well versed in creating these types of policies and guiding the state as they go. Through you, Madam Chair.
Representative Belinsky.
Thank you for that explanation. The council itself, is it a compensated board? Where is the membership, and how often does it meet? Just, again, trying to ascertain if there's financial impact, that's all.
I believe it's a department. So could you rephrase that question again? I'm sorry.
Is it a department, and is it one that is actively meeting on a regular basis, or is it something that must be convened?
Representative Holder-Winfield.
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't actually know the answer off the top of my head in terms of the actual meeting schedule of post. This bill, I don't believe, does anything to require them to do anything more in terms of meeting than they already do. So whatever their meeting schedule is, I don't believe is affected by the bill. The language says nothing about when the amount of times they shall meet, in addition to what they already do. So in terms of cost, I don't believe that there's cost imagined there. Through you, Madam Chair.
Through you, Representative Belinsky, I believe. Does that answer your question?
Well, it answers my question only to the degree that we don't know. But it does sound like it's a standing board, and it's not going to have any incremental expense. And they do, according to the good representative, have the expertise to be able to deal with that. So, all we're looking to do here is to move the bill to the floor. So, far be it for me to stand in the way. But hopefully we'll have a couple more answers when it gets there. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Representative Cuevas.
If I just may chime in a little bit. Post is located in Meriden, and they do train state police, municipal police, and other type of police officers all throughout the year. It's open 12 months a year. I have referred a lot of young men into this field of police work, and my ex-father-in-law is a police captain in Waterbury, retired. So and the gentleman that's in charge of Post at the present time, Flaherty, was the police captain in Waterbury for years. So I understand Post, just to kind of give some folks some clarity. So it's a year-round process, and I hope that clears some of folks' thoughts about Post. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Representative O'Neill.
This matter was in front of the Judiciary Committee, and the original bill that was proposed had a fair amount of opposition from the local police departments. The bill that's in front of us now is an effort to address those concerns, and I believe successfully did, which is one of the reasons I supported it coming out of the Judiciary Committee. So that's just for what it's worth.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification. Are there any other questions? If not, Madam Administrator, please call. Yes, Representative Minor.
Sorry, are we holding votes open till a particular time?
I was going to state that after we started the call roll, but if you like, yes, we're going to hold the votes open until 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Madam Administrator, would you call the roll, please?
Park,